hearing Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
Yeah, we got this song in twice today, so that's always good. We love this song. This gets us almost as fired up as the Meet the Mets, if you did play earlier.
Maybe even a little more. This gets me really fired up.
This does, right? Meet the Press does get you fired up. You think Chuck has this on his phone? Like, what do you call that, the ringtone?
Ringtone?
Or does Chuck have the Miami Fight song? They sucked.
Not after last week.
Well, they covered last week. That's all Chuck cared. That's all he cared about. Where was he? Where was he going?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, we got a big hour coming up here. Chuck Todd, Dennis Huff, owner of the Love Ranch, where Lamar Odom fell ill, and the Reverend Jesse Jackson, all this hour. God, we have a guest that's there, like Meet the Press.
And Rick Santorum was great.
We just had Rick Santorum. He was fantastic. So here he is, the moderator of Meet the Press. First of all, he's my dear friend, and secondly, he's the best on television, the great Chuck Todd. Good morning, Chuck. How are you?
I'm good. That's a pretty good lineup this morning. I think I want to tune in. I saw this interview with Hoff the other night, man. He's an interesting cat.
Interesting cat is a nice way to put that. Yes.
But you'll be able to have fun. Every question imaginable under the sun, ask.
Listen, he's been on this show a million times. I'll tell you something funny, Chuck. 2 years ago, every year I do an NCAA basketball bracket challenge, okay? So, and every year they give out crappy gifts, an Apple TV, which is not crappy, that's actually a really nice gift. Tickets to a game, blah, blah, blah. So I swear to God, it's a true story. On the air, I called Dennis Hop, I go, listen, the guy that wins my bracket challenge wants to go out to the Bunny Ranch, not the Love Ranch, the Bunny Ranch, not far away, and spend the weekend at your place. Will you provide him with the girls for free? And that's exactly what he did. He actually flew.
Wow.
He flew my winner out there. This guy Jose from Miami for 2 days. Got reamed, steamed, and dry cleaned by two of Hoff's best women in the bathtub.
That is something else. You are full service, Sid.
Now, on a serious note, does this story is that a nerd screen? Does it end up anywhere in Meet the Press?
No, not touching it. It's that I still. My favorite Lamar Odom moment actually was in the Final Eight, the Grade 8, Rhode Island. He was a one-man team. Yeah. I saw a lot of Lamar Odom because up here I went to GW's basketball 8-10, Rhode Island, and they had Kansas. I believe they were up 8 with less than a minute left, and they somehow blew the lead.
Yes.
But Lamar Odom was a one-man team. He was just. It's talent-wise, the guy had it all. He had head problems from the very beginning.
Yeah, he did. He was shot even a couple of times as a youngster growing up in New York. Hey, I got to tell you before we get into the real good stuff, the serious stuff. The last thing you and I talked. First of all, will you congratulate me on my Mets, please?
Okay. You know what? It's only because the Dodgers have basically somebody who doesn't even know how to be a manager. I'm sorry, Mattingly. You tell me this, Sid. Chase Utley, I would have not only started him in Game 3, batted him leadoff and said, bring it on. And apparently, Don Mattingly doesn't understand gamesmanship. How do you not do that? What do you think Joe Madden would have done? He'd have probably had Utley he'd probably had Utley do the lineup card. Right. He'd have had Utley standing on home plate. Right. That is when that series was lost. Look, I like this Mets team as much as I don't want to like this Mets team. I love this pitching staff. But I have to tell you, I don't know if I would want Terry Collins as my manager.
Well, listen, he's gotten killed up there, and I've done shows on the Fan every summer. He gets killed up there, but I guess they'll lay off him now. We'll see. It should be a great series. You're right. Mattingly is not a very good manager. I would think this will cost him his job, but the Mets, guys like Dan Murphy, I mean, when they needed to be heroic in baseball sense, obviously, they were, and the Mets got it done.
Oh, Murphy was unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, he was MVP, right? I mean, I turned the game off so fast last night.
Yes. 2 home runs off Kershaw, right? 1 off Greinke. That's pretty damn good. But my point with you was the last thing you and I discussed last week was the Hurricanes. And you said this. You go, Sid, here's how the game's going to go. They're going to be winning the whole way. They're going to have a fourth quarter lead. They're going to find a way to blow it. Take the 8.5 points. That's money in the bank. But they will lose the game. You nailed it.
it's not my fault. I'm not prescient. I just watch too much Miami football. I see that. We know how it goes. By the way, apparently you had Fowler on.
I had who?
The show.
I had Chris Fowler. Yes, and he mentioned you. He loves you.
Yeah, no, and so he texts me right after he's on. He goes, "Oh, I heard you told Sid you think Miami will cover but lose." And I went, "Yeah."
He actually did text you after the show?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Did.
And then
he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. And then he loves, when I said you were just on, he was all excited. And then I sent you a tweet, and I referred to you as Nostradamus after your very good prediction. And I said, if you know so much about this, then tell me who's going to win the damn election. You did not answer me, though.
It's because I have to sit here, particularly the Republican nomination. I mean, we're all pretty sure who's not going to get the nomination. But then when everybody says that, I'm like, okay, so who gets it?
Yeah.
And none of us have figured that out.
No,
Let's not pretend we know.
Right.
Exactly.
We know the other side. Hillary, look, I don't like her. I'm on record saying it. I think she's lied about a lot of stuff. She's not trustworthy. I don't like her. But, just debating skills. I'm not talking about content. Of course, I lean more to the right. I disagree with the content. Her debating skills are exceptional. She's got experience. I get it. But it's been 8 years. I thought she'd be more rusty. She wasn't. I thought in terms of debating skills, I thought she was very good Monday night. I really do.
She was good. And the fact that she was on stage with 4 people from the bar scene in Star Wars, she made it look like she was great. I'm sorry. That was disturbing at times. Watching Chafee, and we now know Jim Webb killed a man. I mean,
of all the people up there, I like him the most. I still like Jim Webb. He's a veteran.
He's a good guy.
He was awful. He was awful.
He is ruining a stellar reputation.
Yes, agreed.
By what he's doing right now.
I had Santorum on earlier, and according to Rick Sanders, we know Bernie Sanders, who's just a complete crazy person. He needs to go home. But he's admitted he's a socialist. According to Santorum, today's paper, he says they're all socialists. He goes, could you really tell the difference between any of them? And really, outside of one comment by O'Malley and maybe gun control, I really couldn't.
Well, I think it is an interesting here how far to the left that Sanders and look, I think with Sanders, and I made my little Barcy crack. I want to eliminate Sanders from that because I'll tell you this: when it was on his topic, Wall Street reform, I thought he was
good.
That was the one time Hillary Clinton was weak.
Correct.
And now he missed more opportunities even on that issue. But what he needed to learn is, hey, buddy, there's a reason you're supposed to do debate prep. He just was told he went in there to wing it. He went in there to do what Trump does at these debates. I'm just going to wing it. I've done all these interviews. I think I know what I'm doing. Hillary Clinton clearly prepared. She did her homework and all those things. So, no, Sanders, I think, lost that debate in the first 30 minutes.
I agree.
Because he just wasn't prepared.
Agreed. And I can't believe I'm still arguing with people about Trump's debate. Look, I understand he's the guy. I'm still on his bandwagon, too. But here's what's different about me, Chuck. I can be on a guy's bandwagon and still realize he's got some shortcomings. Donald Trump is awful on that debate stage. He's been both debates. He was awful. And guess what? On CNBC, where he's the guy that made CNBC change it, he made them change it. He's going to be awful again.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It is all because the candidates that are too arrogant to practice. It just look. We saw it in the last presidential race. Barack Obama didn't prep for the first debate because he was dismissive of Romney.
And Romney killed
everything.
And Romney killed him. Right.
Then Obama realized, I guess I ought to practice. Preparation in anything in life. Do it. How many times have you said to yourself, I've done it to myself when I sit there and if I don't, read exactly what I think I want to say first, and then I just think, you know what, I'm tired, I'll just wing it when I go in the air, and inevitably it will not be as good.
Correct.
Inevitably, I'll sit there and regret, gosh, I would have, if I just given myself 3 minutes of prep time.
True.
Right?
Yeah, true.
It's in anything. And so it bothers me when I see somebody go up on stage for a presidential debate and not prepared, because then I think, well, what kind of job are you going to do if you're actually president?
That's right. So what do you think, though, about CNBC caving today to Donald Trump and Ben Carson's wishes?
That's in the family, man.
I got you.
I'm gonna whatever I say.
Yeah. Especially with me, it gets back to them. I don't know why, but for some reason, you say something to me, it gets right back right away. So be careful.
It will, it will.
Right.
Look, I think the fact is that Trump and Carson. I think it's interesting that they banded together to try to have leverage.
Yeah.
And that tells you something. Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio could have banded together and probably not had leverage, and I'll sleep with that.
But they hate each other. I mean, it's funny. I have this guy Mark Caputo on almost weekly now. He writes the Florida Playbook on Politico.
By the way, I love him. He's got great edge. He's got such great edge to him. His tweet, he's good. You should follow him on Twitter if you don't.
He's great, and he also loves the Hurricanes like you do. But he's especially with guys like Bush and Rubio because he covers the Florida politics. And he said it flat out this week. At one point, of course, Jeb was Marco's mentor. He looked up to him, and that's over. Now they are legitimate, the enemies. I mean, they're going after each other. They're trying to get people's money. It's over. Well,
the fact of the matter, these are two second-tier candidates who can't get into the first tier without the other one leaving.
Right.
And that's the issue. They both know it. I can't tell you. I would say it's almost hourly that I get some trash talk from one of their campaigns about the other right now.
Wow.
It is that intense. Wow. And they're like, they're arguing over some of the silly, Marco Rubio's cash on hand number, some of that money he can't use right away. And then Rubio, Jeb Bush, he's going to have money for all of his private charters. And
right.
You're just like, guy. It's getting
ugly.
It's getting ridiculous. But the fact is, they're right. Neither one of them is going to be able to get in. Get a shot at the top without getting rid of the other guy.
Oh, I agree. And by the way, the biggest story in the country today, besides Lamar Odom, but I'm talking about in the political world, is the fact that Obama has announced that 10,000 are going to stay in Afghanistan. Iraq's got about 6. So his promises to end both wars, of course, have become shallow promises and empty promises. It's not happening. The longest wars in the country's history continue on. So is that an admission of failure by President Obama yesterday?
Well, I think here's the thing he'll never admit to, but by doing what he did admit to, which is by choosing to leave this force in Afghanistan. He's admitting that he made a mistake in Iraq. That he'll never say he made a mistake in Iraq.
Right.
But that's what he's really admitting, is that, there had to be an add-on force. He was so determined to fulfill a campaign promise that he let politics get in the way of military judgment in Iraq. And and obviously look at what it got us. So on Afghanistan, he's not going to do that. Now, the real thing that chaps him on this, the irony to all of this is, it really bothered him that President Bush left him 2 troop requests on the desk in the Oval Office, essentially, from the Pentagon for Afghanistan in his first 3 months in office. He felt like it made it so that he got boxed into them. The Bush administration said, well, the reason they didn't, they left it for him is they didn't want to, suddenly burden him with extra troops. Let it be the next president makes that decision. But in hindsight, President Obama didn't like that being done to him. Well, guess what he's just done to his successor? Because what he's done is he's leaving a force in Afghanistan.
Right.
But there is a troop request for more. There is for more from the Pentagon, and essentially he's saying, I'm going to leave that to my successor to decide whether to do. And guess what? In your first 3 months, Pentagon, the military guys always can box in a new president, because a new president is afraid to ever say no to people that they've ever knew on the job. Oh my God, I can't. These guys have been here a long time. They must know what they're doing. Just like Obama approved every troop request that was asked of him in the first 3 months, and so, I just find that a little ironic as well.
That is a great point out of you. Chuck Todd, Meet the Press. Great point. Let me give you 2 more. You run football analogy. First of all, where are you today? You New Hampshire? Where'd you fly to?
I just came back from New Hampshire.
Okay.
Got to do it. And guess what? I'm going back up there because I'm going to interview Ted Cruz tomorrow.
Oh, good. Ted Cruz. Good.
Who I think we're about a couple weeks away from the Cruz moment.
You do?
I do.
Tell me why that's the case. I'm just curious.
Well, number one, he's got probably the best campaign infrastructure of any of the outsider candidates. Nobody is more poised to inherit Trump supporters than Cruz.
Oh, here you go again.
Alliance.
Here you go again. You got Trump out of the race.
I don't have him out of the race, but at some point, if there is something there, he's poised to get him. Ditto with Carson. He's best positioned to inherit Carson. And he's raised money. He's got more cash on hand than any of those guys. So anyway, I just think that if anybody has a better opportunity and more credibility for telling Washington where to stick it, it's Cruz. So I'm just saying, I think in this environment, he is going to be.
No, those are two very, very fair points. Now,
look, he may not. It may not happen because maybe Trump or Carson don't falter.
Right.
I look. That's something I dealt with yesterday. I think I can't tell you how many campaigns that I deal with who all are they're more dismissive of Carson than they are of Trump these days. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, you mean the guy who just outraised the entire Republican field?
That's right.
You mean the guy who doesn't campaign and his numbers go up? You mean the guy that says sometimes more outrageous things than Trump or more politically incorrect things than Trump?
Lately it's not even close.
And his numbers go up?
Yep.
I mean, something's happening here, and people need to stop being so dismissive of it.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, that's why I said to you. Well, when you
we went off on a tangent there. Sorry
that's okay. Because when you asked the panel on Sunday, what's the exit strategy or when's this going to happen? I was like, no, it ain't happening. I mean, give me a football analogy. The most annoying, reoccurring football story for me, Chuck Todd, every year is Brett Favre coming back? I liken will Joe Biden enter the race to is Brett Favre coming back? How about that?
Oh, ouch. Look, I think my feeling is that Biden should take all the time he wants, but obviously he's taken too much time. I mean, I think he is, I don't know if there's room for him in the race, but I also think we are overrating the idea that it's too late. Look, if he decided tomorrow to get in and he announced he would get in, do you think we're going to, we all sit there, well, did he wait too late? He'll still get a honeymoon. He'll still, have a great 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, I think if he were running, we would have known the day after the debate because he would have tried to leak something out that would have stepped on Hillary Clinton's victory lap.
But if he saw what we saw, which was she was actually pretty good, and now he's going to wait to see if something comes up next Thursday at the Benghazi.
That's about the only thing he could do is wait to see if somehow Hillary Clinton blows it there. But don't we think if she prepared for the debate that she's going to prepare for this?
I do, actually. I think that she's going to come away scot-clean, looking like a million bucks.
I do, too, between that and the fact that all these House Republicans are chasing like McCarthy and then the other guy that said it's political. I mean, Trey Gowdy, I keep calling him Kurt Gowdy, by the way. And I think you're the only person that would laugh at that. I think they're going to be so meek when they deal with her because they've been, just dragged through the polls by their own party on this one.
Yeah,
they're going to be so afraid of looking political that they'll not even ask a tough question.
Agreed. 60 seconds to go. This is going to be, Chuck Todd, for you, the classic, the epitome, the perfect cart before the horse. But I'm doing it anyway, okay? We talked about Trump and Carson hand in hand, making CNBC change this next debate. They've been very nice to each other the last couple of months. Never been a Trump-Carson argument. How about a Trump-Carson ticket? What do you think?
There you go. How about a Carson-Trump ticket? I think that's what people would prefer in the Republican primary. I think that there's more. I think that the Carson's stability. One thing about him, he's got a very even-keeled temperament. Who knows, man? They are combined together, getting half the Republican electorate, and that's why I keep telling people: if you don't think they're going to get the nomination, fine, but don't sit here and tell me that somehow Jeb Bush is going to inherit these voters.
That's my fear.
I just don't see it. Maybe it'll happen, but I don't see where, if Trump Carson, okay, you can tell me they're not going to get the nomination. I think that's true. All right? It is harder for me to picture that path. Ben Carson's selling books in the next 2 weeks. He's not even campaigning.
Right. And Donald Trump is going to host SNL. He's not going to campaign.
Right. He's not campaigning. But they're getting half of the Republican electorate just between those two, half the Republican primary vote. Those voters are going to go to Jeb Bush?
No.
Those voters are going to go to John Kasich?
No.
Christie? No. Maybe Rubio. Ted, this is why I'm sitting there going, Ted Cruz is probably a stock that's undervalued right now.
I'm buying. Just so you know, I'm buying. I'm going to call my broker right now. I'm buying Ted Cruz stock.
Hey, by the way, your boy, Lindsey Graham,
yeah,
more cash on hand than Chris Christie.
Is that
right now?
Isn't that? And by the way, last time he was on, this is a true story. He was begging me to go to lindseygraham.com and give him $15.
Well, he still needs some money. Don't get me wrong, but he's got more in the bank,
right,
than your boy from New Jersey.
I buy that. Hey, who's on Sunday? We got Ted Cruz.
Ted
Who else?
Cruz. Yeah, I got Ted Cruz, 2 Benghazi guys.
Nice.
That'll be on. So we'll do that. I might add one more presidential. We'll see what we have timing wise, but and we'll see how long Cruz goes.
All right, this was an awesome 20 minutes. I love you. I love you to death. You're the best. Thank you. We'll be watching Sunday morning. Great stuff. Thank you.
You got it, Sid.
All right, take care. The great Chuck Ty. That was great. We got 20 minutes today because he wasn't part of the regular Friday tour, flying back and forth from New Hampshire. So we're going to take a short break, and don't forget, coming up in 8 minutes, maybe 15, he owns the Love Ranch, where we came to find Lamar Odom had a rough couple of days. So Dennis Hopp will be here, and right after that, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Stick around. More after this.
640 Sports.
If you've been following the political climate of 2015, you know we're in a year where people want to hear straight talk instead of political promises. There's one man running for state Congress who never pulls his punches and has been telling it like it is for nearly 2 decades on the radio. Sid Rosenberg. Sid Rosenberg has never been one to turn down a challenge or shirk from a fight. A family man who knows South Florida and the issues that matter. Sid Rosenberg is the clear choice to do the job for District 21. Like many of us, he's a transplant, New Yorker, and he'll take that New York energy and convert it into results. Just ask famous New Yorker Woody Allen.
He's a dynamite kid, you know. Plus, he's been working out. You ever see the guns on this guy? Even if he can't get his colleagues to side with him, he can carry a voluptuous intern in each arm.
No McDonald's arches, no Chick-fil-A, no auto dealerships, no strip clubs? No way. Not under his watch. Sid says they're all welcome with open arms. Take back Boca. Vote Sid Rosenberg for State Congress.
My name is Sid Rosenberg, and I approve this nonsense.
See the lonely man there on the corner. What is waiting for? I don't know. But he waits every day now. He's just waiting for someone to show. And nobody knows him. And nobody cares. 'Cause there's no hiding place. There's no hiding place for you. Looking everywhere at no one. He sees everything and nothing at all. Oh, when he shouts, nobody listens. Where he leads, no one will go. Oh, he's a lonely man there on the corner. What he's waiting for, I don't
Well, these things, as you can imagine, are very fluid. So even though both Dennis Hoff out in Reno by Las Vegas and the Reverend Jesse Jackson are both going to come on this morning, it's another one is going to be on time. So that's just the way it is. Dennis, we just called Dennis, and he was he puts the phone down, and I hear him, Steve-Mac and I hear him like doing an interview and on another phone, I guess, and then he comes back to our phone. He's like, "What's going on?" Z-Mac's like, "It's Sid." He goes, "This mother effer, this." He's talking about Marty, his PR guy, his publicist. He booked a 9:30 and a 9:45. I'm supposed to go on Epp and Sid show. What the? And he's yelling at Marty at the top. He's cursing at the top of his lungs. And so he'll be by this morning and sometime the next 15 or 20 minutes. And so will Jesse. But it's we have to wait here, though. That's it. He's obviously being bombarded with requests, Denny Hoff, and he's got this new guy. They fired Sam, Sam was there for 100 years. And he put Marty, this new guy, Marty, who I spoke to twice yesterday, and he is absolutely retarded. Absolutely.
Well, you mean he's just incompetent or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Okay. Retarded.
Yeah. Dennis was yelling at him, and so now we got to wait for Dennis. And now Z-Mac is talking to John Mitchell, Jesse Jackson's guy, and we may have Jesse here momentarily, like literally in a couple of seconds. Jesse is out there with Lamar Odom, and nobody can figure out why.
That is true. I don't think.
Well, that's why I want to bring Jesse on. It's not like Lamar Odom was a victim of an attack, or this is not a civil rights issue.
Yeah, his civil rights weren't.
Was Jesse Jackson a Lakers season ticket holder or something?
I don't know. Maybe they're friends.
I swear to God, but it was like, why is Jesse out there? I go, I don't know, man. Maybe he likes the guy. What do you care so much?
Who? Me?
Not you, you moron.
This is what I'm saying. I
say you. I mean, it's a kind of a universal thing. So.
Okay.
But I've gotten a lot of that on Facebook and Twitter. Like, wow, Jesse. Well, I don't know. So we got to take a quick break because I got to make pee-pee. And then we're going to talk to both Jesse Jackson and at some point before 10:15, Dennis Hopp. So if you're here and you enjoyed Rick Santorum, the GOP candidate, Rick Santorum was not good. He was great. He was on for 20 minutes. Chuck Todd, Meet the Press, was great. He was on for 20 minutes. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and Dennis Hopp still to come. All right, back here. Let's go to Dennis Hopp right now. I know Denny is really busy. He's doing like 9,000 different spots today. Hey, Denny, my good man, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. I want you to know I told Entertainment Tonight, nope. I need 5 minutes with Sid before I talk to you.
Well, I've been seeing you do the whole run. I thought you were very good with Nancy Grace. I like the fact that she refers to you as Hoff, by the way, not Dennis. Hoff. What do you think about that?
We go back 15 years. I think we got a love-hate relationship. It's one of those things like someday I need to get her in bed and we'll figure all this out.
I actually had a fight. I had a fight with her once on Imus too, just so you know. So her and I are also kind of on the rocks. Hey, Dan, let me get right to it, okay? I know you for many, many years. You've been great to me, and I think you're a heck of a guy. But you know that in some places today, even though Lamar went to your place by his own accord, did what he did on his own accord, that they are vilifying you today. You do know that. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, we did our due diligence. My manager told Lamar, yes, you can come out. You can stay in Dennis's VIP house and have a good time. Don't bring any drugs. And we don't know yet that he did bring any drugs. He admitted to doing drugs on Saturday before he came out. That's why he wanted to get out there, because he wanted to relax. So I don't know what he was doing. I know that Sunday morning he woke up and said, I haven't had a sleep like this in the last year. I love this place. Wow. I want to stay longer. Tell Dennis to get down here. And he was sleeping every night. He was eating. So typically cokeheads don't do that. Right. So I'm hoping that it was something other than drugs.
Well, so you did. Did you see him at all before Tuesday? You saw him Sunday morning. Is that when you saw him?
I didn't see him at all. I was at the Bunny Ranch, but my managers and the girls did. Yeah. And he came in Saturday night, met all the girls, wanted a bottle of cognac, and before that said, you know what, I want to talk to the girls. He took two girls, two little blondes, Monica Monroe and Ryder Cherry, that are both on the LoveRanch.net site, and said, I'll give you $75,000 to spend the next 4 or 5 days, 24 hours a day.
So he was just looking to stay there. He was stressed out. His whole issue with Chloe. I did also hear then that I guess in his room he watched the Kardashian show on Sunday night, and that even pissed him off even more. So he was stressed out basically and looking for a place to run and hide, and that's what you provide.
Absolutely, and nobody ever knew. As much as I love you and know you, I've never told you Lamar Odom's at the ranch at all.
Right.
We don't talk about celebrities.
That's right.
Until this comes up. And what happens here is 3 minutes after they haul him out in the ambulance, Harvey Levin's calling me. They know everybody's got Harvey Levin's number on a speed dial.
TMZ Harvey Levin. I know he's the worst. So the girls saw him, Dan. I know 3 more minutes to let you run. Like literally a couple of hours before they found him unconscious, and he was okay, right? There was no reason to believe they were going to find him that way.
Exactly. He's been sleeping every night, having a good time. They saw him that morning. They left and run errands. He slept, which he was doing a lot of, and getting rested up. And then they came back at 3 o'clock, and there he was, unconscious. Called 911. The sad part about it is the thing that made him famous. His height was a detriment because he couldn't get in the helicopter.
No, I heard you say that he was too big to put in the helicopter. Now, did you know Khloe Kardashian or any of the Kardashians before this event?
Well, I've met him, with Joe Francis from Girls Gone Wild, who's my dear friend. I've been around him. I'm never a fan, As far as I'm concerned, this Kris Jenner, what's she famous for? She's famous because one of her best friends, Nicole Simpson, got murdered, and her husband got the murderer off.
Basically, yeah. I know.
That's what they're famous. That's what they're famous for, and doing Kim for an interracial sex tape, right? What the hell else is about these? That's the best thing about these two.
So
they don't want me talking to the media. They're like, no, Chloe will talk to them. I said, tell Chloe to go to hell.
You did say that right? When they approach you.
Hell yeah.
Go to hell. And
I told Chloe, if you go to hell, I wanted a phone call from Chloe. Dennis, what can you tell me about this? Is there anything I can give for information to the doctors? Give me details. Okay? No. I got a call from her publicist saying that Chloe wants you to forward the media request right to
You know what,
me.
Dan? You just brought up a great point, because all we hear about is how Chloe misses Lamar. She's still doting even though they're breaking up, and she's sleeping with somebody else while they're in the NBA, and she loves him. But what you're saying to me, Dennis, is that phone call was based upon the image of the Kardashians and not how Lamar Odom was doing.
Right.
Jesus.
Right, exactly. It's nuts. I'm not a fan of these people at all, and so who knows?
All right, listen. I know you got to run and do ET. I know that you put these 5 minutes aside for me, and I appreciate that. I do.
I love you so much, and I got to go talk to Good Morning America now, and so that's it. But I love you, and I'm glad I was able to come on, and let's get more details next week, because it's going to get juicier. The surveillance tapes are out now.
Oh, really?
It'll be on the Today Show. Right now.
Okay, so you promise you'll come on next week and share that with me?
Absolutely. Hell
okay.
yeah.
I love you too.
Give me a shoot and make it a great day, buddy.
You too. Thank you. Denny Huff. How about that? Loves me. He
loves you.
He does love me. He did provide our listener that time with he paid for the whole weekend for Jose from Miami. That was
I remember it. The cheetah and everything. They did the contest.
So the surveillance tapes are out, and he says he's going on Good Morning America right now and ET right now. He told Entertainment Tonight to wait 5 minutes for me, which is very nice.
He was cursing up a storm.
I know.
He was pissed off at not you, but his publicist that they overlapped this radio interview with some other appearances he was doing. He was not very upset, and like you heard him say there, he said, I pushed it aside. He gave you 5 minutes.
He never saw Lamar. He said his manager saw him. The same two chicks saw him. Had some very choice words for Kris Jenner and for Kim Kardashian. Very choice words. Didn't sound to me. Said, and by the way, see, I thought that Lamar was the tab was increasing as he was there. So he comes Saturday night, for example, right? And the two girls come over. That's $1,000. Then 4 hours later, he goes, I want 2 more girls. That's another $1,000. No, according to Denny, Lamar got there and said, here's $75,000. Let's, wow. And I would imagine that $75,000, even in a place like that, because he was in the most expensive room. He was in Denny's favorite room, the most expensive room. A place like that, 75 G's, is going to last longer than 3 days. So he probably could have stayed a week. Yeah, that's what Denny intimated just when he said it. He said he came Saturday night and gave us $75,000. Here we go. Wow. He made it very, very right away at the very beginning of the conversation. Right away, he said, I told Lamar, you can come here, stay as long as you want, no drugs. Now, why do you say that? Because if, in fact, the stories that they say they took blood from Lamar Odom and they found a cocaine in his system. Jesse Jackson in 5 minutes. That's great. So we got everybody we said we would. Jesse Jackson in 5 minutes. If there was cocaine in his system, which the sheriff has already said there was, then who knows what kind of legal problem Dennis has, because they may say that, yes, he arrived with cocaine. He did cocaine Saturday, but maybe he got more cocaine on Sunday and on Monday, and maybe Denny's girls helped him get it. I don't know. So right away, the beginning of the conversation, Denny goes, I told Lamar, you can come, no drugs. And as far as we know, now that also contradicts a report that I heard yesterday, where the girl said she saw Lamar Odom doing cocaine.
I think 2 of them said that too.
So now it becomes he said, she said. Now, Denny's going to go to that girl and say, hey, dingbat, shut the F up, you moron. You're going to get us all in big trouble. So she won't say it again, but it's out there already. It's kind of like when Dwayne Shinsis stood up and said, Jason Williams shot the dog.
Well, it's going to come down to his word against hers, and she's going to lose.
She's going to lose.
She didn't tell me nothing. They saw it, but they didn't come to me. As far as I knew,
So I don't know. It doesn't sound to me. Look, This guy's worth a lot of money. I believe one of those ranches alone is worth about $30 million.
What?
Yeah, he's worth a ton of money. And he owns 7 now. He owns one with Heidi Fleiss, too. He's worth a ton of money. He's got a lot to lose, is what I'm saying. I can't imagine that he'd be out there with me and Nancy Grace and Good Morning, all these interviews, just blabbing away. I mean, if there was any possibility, that he can lose, forget about criminal, civil, something.
Yeah, he's a
They would
businessman.
tell him to shut up.
Yeah, you're right. He's a businessman. No, I agree 100%.
Now, we know he loves the publicity. We get emails every single week. I'm gonna let you guys in on something. Every single week, I get an email from the Bunny Ranch mentioning some ridiculous story about something in the news that applies to the Bunny Ranch. In other words, give me.
I know it's
anybody in the news. What's the big story?
Like say
Kevin McCarthy dropped out of the race to be the Speaker of the House. He's spending time now at the Bunny Ranch. Let's talk about it.
Or what about who beat up Derek Fisher? Who came down and
Matt Barnes.
Yeah, we welcome Matt Barnes to the Bunny Ranch for a free stay for 2 nights.
Or they'll take a stand on something. Ray Rice can't come here anymore.
Right. Yeah, that was one last year. We have banned Ray Rice from the Bunny Ranch.
So we get these emails every week because Denny loves coming on I'll tell you why he loves coming on the show. Quick story, then we'll get to Jesse Jackson. A couple years ago, I had Craig Gass in studio. Craig Gass, if you're a Howard Stern fan, you know who Craig is. He does the best impersonations anywhere, and 3 in particular.
We Tom saw Arnold in New York. In New York, we saw him in the Super Bowl.
Tom Arnold, Christopher Walken, and Tracy Morgan. His Tracy Morgan is sick. And one day we interviewed Dennis Hoff. It was me and Craig Gass, but Craig was Tracy Morgan. To this day, I swear to God, because he's told Ron Jeremy this, to this day he thinks he was interviewed by Tracy Morgan. I swear to God. He's even told Howard, I was on with Sid, Tracy Morgan. It was Craig Gass. Ever since that day, he's taken an incredible liking to me in the show, and that's why he comes on and that type of thing. But he doesn't seem worried about any legal action, does he?
Not yet. No, not yet.
No. More to do here. The Reverend Jesse Jackson. More on this developing story right after this.
Now, it's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
The Reverend Jesse Jackson came out, Jake, and he told us that Lamar Odom is on life support, but he is somewhat responsive, unlike yesterday. He also called us a difficult situation. Let's go ahead and listen to what Reverend Jackson had to tell us.
He's not talking. He's in the tubes are in him now. But we felt inspired by his presence. We just had prayer, and you know that we get knocked down sometime, we get back up again. The ground is no place for a champion, and champions rise.
And the Reverend Jackson also saying that Odom is doing better than yesterday, again on life support in a private room, Jake. So that's the latest from the hospital on Odom's condition.
What do we know about where he was found and in the condition in which he was found?
Well, all reports from Dennis Hoff, who is the owner of this Love Ranch, which is a highly celebrated brothel. There's actually 2 of them, part of an HBO special. He says that at 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday, 2 of his, quote, girls found Odom unconscious. They then called 911. The dispatcher, according to Hoff, told them to turn Odom onto his left side, and he vomited. He was later taken out of there. So, according to Hoff, the owner of this brothel, Odom had given him a call over the weekend and said he wanted to spend some time there and have some fun. And Hoff also said that he heard that Odom had been taking a lot of an herbal sexual supplement.
All right, there it is, the biggest story in the country today. We just had Dennis Hoff on. I tell you, go back to Super Bowl 47 in New York City when the Broncos lost to Seattle. And the highlight of that trip, besides Danielle showing up that weekend, was I spent some time with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Tamara Holder was there, and Tamara brought him over, and he sat down and spent time with us on the radio show. And then that Saturday morning, in the hotel lobby at the Sheraton, I went to get some Starbucks, and Jesse was there, and we spoke again. And I really enjoyed both conversations with the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Somehow or another, he is in the middle of this Lamar Odom story, and folks are asking me why. And we're going to find out right now why, because here he is, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Good morning, Jesse. How are you, pal?
Good morning, sir. Good to hear your voice again.
Good to talk to you again, too. I enjoyed your company in New York during that Super Bowl very, very, very much. I'm going to ask you this, Jesse. I've been asked this question a lot the last day or so. This is not a civil rights issue, obviously. This is Lamar Odom basically having a rough go of it here. People want to know what you're doing in this story. What is your relationship with Lamar Odom and all that?
It's a humanitarian issue. I was in Las Vegas for the Democratic debate.
Right.
And heard the shocking news that he was found unconscious after 9 hours and been rushed to the hospital.
Right.
And since he was there and I knew him, I went to the hospital to have prayer with him on an occasion. And there met two of his closest friends and the doctor and Chloe. And I had prayer with him and left. And he is fighting for his life.
Yeah.
And it's a fight between the medical team and the faith team. And I hope that our faith and the medicine prevails.
I'll tell you, it's got to be somewhat frustrating, Jesse, because what you're telling me is you know Lamar Odom. He's a friend. He got sick. You went to the hospital. You were praying for him, trying to help out a friend, and it automatically becomes a political story that seems unfair. You do realize that, right?
Well, that's kind of foolish. You know, people are free to arrive at these conclusions without foundation. I remember I was there for a Tyson fight some years ago, and Tupac had been shot before he eventually died. And
right.
Along with his mother, I went to the hospital to have prayer with Tupac and his mother on his dying bed. It is so humane, tremendous to go to people who are in need. They may be stricken on some Jericho Road experience through no fault of their own, or even a fault of their own.
Gotcha.
To go to offer prayers and consolation. It would be immoral to be able to offer prayers and consolation and to not do so.
Okay, so you're going there, you're hoping for the best, and you're praying, but you do know Lamar Odom, right? There is a relationship there for a couple of years, yes?
Yeah, over a period of time, we had this kind of friendly fan relationship. We've talked over a period of time. So even if I didn't at all, and I did, even if I didn't, I still would be offering prayers and urging people to offer the best goodwill they could. The good news to me, apart from that, was that when Kobe Bryant found out about it, Kobe rushed his bedside the night before last and stayed with him for a while.
Right.
So there's a kind of rallying of conscience around the nation, and that's the good news of the bad news story.
Gotcha. Reverend Jesse Jackson joining us this morning. Reverend, you had said that you thought he was improving. There was even stories that he clutched his sister-in-law Kim's hand, that his eyes were fluttering. Yet there's a report this morning that says he's practically brain dead and he's not really improving. And your story seems to conflict with this morning's story. So what is the real medical deal as far as you know with Lamar?
I think the doctor should give in a medical analysis, which I've been careful to say. But when he got there, apparently he was not responsive at all. They thought they had lost him.
Right.
There's enough responsiveness under these extreme medical conditions to try to salvage him. So the details of which I'm not really familiar with. All I know, he is a very sick man and needs our support and needs grace and mercy.
I know you have about 6 more minutes to go. We're going to keep this to 10 minutes, as you wish, Jesse. Listen, there's a bigger problem here than just a basketball player at a brothel in the hospital, and that is how this country continues to be ravaged, young people, not young people, by this drug addiction. It's awful, to be honest. I see a lot of folks speaking out today. I know you know Darryl Strawberry, Jesse, very well, as I do. Tell me about that aspect of this story, especially in the inner city, how drugs are still, if not more than ever, ruining America.
Well, it's not just inner city drugs. You know that. I mean, drugs are quite pervasive. And those who perhaps consume the most are the most protected by law and money from them. And it does drugs in, guns in, jobs out. Too much is the story of our lives, unfortunately. We learn from our mistakes. We learn from the mistakes of others, hopefully.
Let me ask you about one of the groups today that is out there trumpeting the horn for African Americans, which is something you've done practically your whole life, and that is Black Lives Matter. I think you know that they've become very controversial, and I'm going to say this here, Jesse, with zero remorse. A lot of white folks don't like them. What do you think about Black Lives Matter, and do you think they, in fact, do have the best interests of the African American community in mind?
I do. I think when Trayvon Martin is killed and his killer walks free, and later found to be quite a scoundrel. People say the Black Lives Matter when Ferguson's killed and Michael Brown's killed in Ferguson, Missouri, and the killer walks free. Diallo was shot in New York in the back 21 times, and the police walk free. When Rodney King is beaten to death on camera and the police are beating him walk free, people say, why don't Black Lives Matter? I mean, are we protected by law? If that's the context, even the expression. In the real sense, all lives matter. But the predicament of black people is very different than that of most Americans.
So you're in line. You believe that while you are saying all lives matter, which of course, I mean, you would hope everybody feels that way, that there is in fact a big problem, that this is not something, a delusion, this is not something that African-American folks are making up, that there is in fact a problem with the way police treat African-Americans.
Well, you see it by virtue of who is in the prison system, and the people who are trapped on the crack, for example,
right,
end up in jail much longer than those who covered other form of drugs. And we're number one in infant mortality, number one in short life expectancy, number one in unemployment.
Right.
In spite of some major progress, racism as a base of judgment and sexism are very prevailing narratives.
You know, you talk about racism, Jesse. Two more will let you run. The Reverend Jesse Jackson here this morning. On one hand, you celebrate, everybody celebrated the first African-American president, Barack Obama. But I think you'd be foolish not to admit that, amazingly, with a black man in office, racism is worse now than it was 6 or 7 years ago. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, that was those who were so angry that he won. They never stopped giving up trying to discredit him.
Okay.
The day he was sworn in, a group of Republicans met that day. How shall we defeat him? I remember Senator McConnell saying, we have one goal. He's a man representing Appalachia, working poor people, and his goal was not to wipe out malnutrition, not to supply medical access to everybody. And we have one goal, to destroy Barack Obama. Right. That's not a noble goal for one to have.
Let me get your opinion on the way out. Your other phone is ringing, Jesse, on Dr. Ben Carson running right now almost neck and neck with Donald Trump on the Republican side. What are your thoughts on Dr. Ben Carson?
You know, he has a composure. He's obviously an accomplished scientific doctor. I respect him very much. I don't agree necessarily with his politics, but I respect him very much. I think he's done well. Arguing his point of view, he is a genuine Republican.
I'll tell you why I asked that, because there have been folks who are detractors, Jesse, of Barack Obama who say he blew it. He is the first African-American president because he's done such a lousy job. I'm talking about his detractors, his critics. We'll never see an African-American president again. And Ben Carson says, ha, 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 slow down. And as it looks right now, Ben Carson is doing pretty well, yes?
Well, I think when he came in office, we had lost 800,000 jobs that month. That's been a net gain of jobs every month. The 16 million Americans who have health care who never had it at all, for example.
Right.
We've seen some noticeable advances, and he's faced stiff resistance. So I think he's brought honor to office, and I respect him very much for what he's done.
On the way out, then, just to kind of recap where we started, Lamar Odom, you know him, but if you didn't know him, the fact is he's sick, his life is on the line, and as a reverend, you went there to help pray and help him get through this. That's it. That no other story, correct?
That's it. If you're coming down the highway and somebody's in a car wreck, you don't have to know them to try to help them.
True.
That's just a moral and humane thing to do, and that's what I did.
Good for you. Hey, it's nice to catch up with you again, Jesse. I really did enjoy our time in New York City together, and stay well, be well, and I'll see you again soon. God bless you.
All right.
Take care. Jesse Jackson. We'll take a short break. We're back after this.
The Sid Rosenberg Show.
Murph swings, lines it to left center, moving back. Peterson still going. Can't get it. It one hops the wall. Granderson on his way to third. Hernandez stumbles on the warning track, picking the ball up. Granderson will score. Murphy digging for third. He dives in safely without a relay throw. The Mets have a 1-0 lead.
Been around Dan Murphy for 6 years. He's a baseball player. He's a baseball junkie. He loves to hit. He loves to play the game. plays with every night all out, and when he's swinging the bat, he is dangerous. When he's hot, he is really dangerous.
I've got the shift worked on him, and so I'm kind of running in the second, and I looked for it before and hoping, that nobody's there, and then you got to kind of give a peek and hope that nobody calls timeout, because if I go sprint to third base and somebody calls timeout, I look like a buffoon, and I didn't want that to happen. So I take off, kind of give a look and hope nobody's called timeout, and then at that point I'm not fleet of foot, but I was just fast enough to be able to get in there and make it.
Swinging a high fly ball, right field, not deep. Ethier back into the corner, makes the catch, loads, fires. Here comes Murphy. He's going to score on a sac fly. It's 2-2, and Daniel Murphy is the man who's essentially gotten the Mets both their runs.
Been around Dan Murphy for 6 years. He's a baseball player. He's a baseball junkie. He loves to hit. He loves to play the game. Plays with every night all out, and when he's swinging the bat, he is dangerous. When he's hot, he is really dangerous.
Swinging a drive deep to right, down the line, and there it goes. Daniel Murphy, a home run, has given the Mets the lead here in the 6th inning. It is 3-2 New York. Murphy's 3rd hit of the game, and Daniel Murphy is writing some kind of story.
I got a heater finally in the spot that I was looking for, and fortunately I didn't miss it. That's the only way to describe it. I mean, he makes so few mistakes that I just didn't miss it.
The 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3, put it in the books. The New York Mets are going to the National League Championship Series. Familia jumped on by Travis d'Arnaud. The Mets pour out of the dugout, pour out of the bullpen. They're mobbing each other at the pitcher's mound. The New York Mets have defeated the Dodgers in 5 games of the division series. They win game 5, 3-2. Jacob deGrom, every bit the bulldog that Orel Hershiser was all those years ago. And Daniel Murphy has the game of his life with probably the most famous stolen base in Mets history, the catalytic agent, and later Murphy hit what proved to be the game-winning home run. The Mets and the Cubs in the National League Championship Series beginning on Saturday night at Citi Field. And get ready for a long narrative about 1969.
Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the M-E-T-S Mets of New York Town.
All right. It's a nice little run we got there, I would say, right? From Rick Santorum running for president. It was real good, talking about his new tax plan. You can read his op-ed in today's Wall Street Journal. Very, very good tax plan. 20% flat rate is what he's looking to do. Then we went to Chuck Todd, Meet the Press. Then we went to Dennis Hopp, did in fact call in between his Entertainment Tonight and Good Morning America spots, the owner of the Love Ranch. And then we got a practically inaudible Jesse Jackson. But he answered all the questions, and I brought up all the important topics, and he knows Lamar wrote him. He said it didn't matter if I knew him or not. I mean, if somebody is sick and dying as a reverend, I go pray. So I don't know what the big story is. And for all you guys to keep going, what's he doing out there? And then he told he does like Black Lives Matter, and he does like Ben Carson. So that was basically the Jesse Jackson conversation.
It's funny because the Black Lives Matter is going, I mean...
Is completely the opposite of Ben Carson.
Yeah, and they're trying to take him down to a degree.
Right. Well, not to a degree.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're trying to take him down.
Right. But we came right back there with the theme of today's program, which is our New York Metropolitans.
Yeah.
Much more important than anything else we discussed today, whether it's Afghanistan, Iraq, or whatever else. I don't know, Hillary Clinton. What else is going on that we discussed today?
Biden maybe jumping in the race.
Annoying. I compared that to Brett Favre with Chuck Todd. He liked that.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you. Dolphins, Titans, and the Jets, Redskins, and the Giants, Eagles. Monday's a big deal, but
Saints, Falcons.
No, nobody cares. I mean, God, nobody cares. Nobody, except for the millions of people that do care.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
New Orleans. And
see, when I say
Atlanta.
nobody cares, I say that's me saying I don't care, and I hope that I've conditioned, if not brainwashed, my audience to only care about what I care about. So. You couldn't, well, I shouldn't say you couldn't pay me because you could, but you couldn't, I wouldn't voluntarily watch the Saints and Falcons on a Thursday night. I couldn't think of a bigger loser. I mean, I swear.
Hey, I watched that game last night.
There you go. I mean, I'm starting to sound more like I miss as I'm getting older, but I couldn't think of a bigger loser than somebody sitting down voluntarily without a gun to the back of their head watching the Saints and Falcons.
It was a great game. The Saints won.
It was not a great game.
Breeze went 30 for like 39.
An undefeated team was taken down.
He's still in the NFL?
Who, Drew Brees? How dare you?
There was college ball last night, too. I mean, Auburn played Kentucky.
Oh, the kid and the quarterback.
And UCLA got murdered by Stanford.
I had that game on before the Mets. The quarterback from Auburn is from Boca Raton.
I saw that.
As he's trotting down the field, it says hometown Boca Raton. I said, I'd never heard of this guy.
I never
like
heard
Sean
of him.
Miller or something.
I still don't know who the guy is.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But, I mean, I couldn't think of a bigger loser than the guys that grew in the parking lot 10 hours before the game.
That was you.
I know, with eggs.
That was my
breakfast.
father. And unfortunately, Don and Charles referred to him as a psychopath. What do you call him? A psychopath? Whatever it was. And to add to Imus's list, I'm going to go with people who sat home on a Thursday to watch the Saints play the Falcons. You couldn't be a bigger loser. And the fact that Langell did it, all it does is... Well, basically, I rest my case.
He's a diehard Saints fan.
He's not a diehard Saint. He knows nothing about the goddamn team.
I'm a Saints fan.
You can't even name 5 players.
Black and gold, baby.
Yeah, give me 5 players on the team besides Drew Brees. 5.
Besides Drew Brees?
Yeah. Yeah, he's a real diehard. 5 I'm asking for on a 50-man football team.
Think about it for a second, because I got another line.
This is like Zemeck with the Presidents.
Jimmy Graham.
He's on Seattle. You lost.
Not there
Forget
anymore.
it. There you go. Already you effed up.
Wait, no. All right, wait.
Wait a minute.
That's
Wait a minute. Auburn has a Jewish quarterback?
Yes, he does. He's Jewish. Why? Because he's from Boca? It means he's
yes,
Jewish?
Yeah.
There's no guys from Boca that aren't Jewish?
I didn't think so.
Chris Kentsy's from Boca. I even know a black guy from Boca. He's not Jewish. How about that?
How do you know?
I don't know, actually. Maybe he is Jewish.
Is that Rufus Goldstein? I know him.
The great Rufus Goldstein.
That's my friend from high school.
That's right.
Yeah.
Rufus.
He was Jewish. Jewish?
He was. Rufus Goldstein.
Ethiopian?
No.
American.
American, yeah.
All right.
Cool. What school was this?
Hollywood Hills.
And he was what, the quarterback or something? Or?
No. He was on the debate team.
Stop. You did not know anyone on the debate team. You did not hang out with those people. Stop.
You're an idiot. All right, we got to do final thoughts so I can go home for the weekend. Show's already been way too good for this place, but we'll give you your final thoughts. So your last chance to speak on this program till Monday is now. 844-640-6464. 844-640-6464. Anything you want to talk about. The football weekend coming up. Jets, Giants, Dolphins, the Mets moving on. Even the American League. Fine. Kansas City, Toronto. You want to talk about all of our guests today. Dennis Hoff, Lamar Odom, Chuck Todd, Santorum, Jesse Jackson. It's on the table. We've got 10 minutes. The clock starts now. Final thoughts is right after this.